I'm sleeping in the ocean. Love, I'm almost home. It's a soft and quiet place. We're lost inside a whisper, a different kind of near. There are secrets I can't speak, but none I'd hide from you. It's a lonely silver place, but with your voice, my dear, I'm safe and in a different kind of near. We're dancing on a raindrop. It's a perfect kind of day. Your echo follows me always to make sure that I don't stray. And we're a different kind of near, a different kind of near, a different kind of near. I drift and whisper.
All right. Hello. Welcome, everyone, to episode 35 of the Her Podcast. Wait, device not connected. What does that mean? Hello. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, whatever. I think we're good. Looks like we're good. Hold on. Let's double check this real quick. I got a weird notification. Okay, come on. Okay, come on. All right. That's all we needed to check, and we are live. Welcome to episode 35 of the Her Podcast, the show where we explore the experiment, the show, whatever you want to call it, where we explore human AI collaboration. And we chronicle the steps from today's AI all the way till AGI, artificial general intelligence, and eventually artificial superintelligence. The show is called the Her Podcast, the Her Show, Her Podcast, because it's based off of the sci-fi film Her with Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson. And yeah, check it out. It's very relevant. It's about human AI companionship, relationships, etc. Etc. I just learned to say that correctly today. Etc. Not etc. And yeah, so somewhere along the way between today and ASI, we're going to have a her moment. And I think a moment where AI becomes sentient, or at least it seems sentient to us, to a point where we can't distinguish, and we have to find some other novel ways to measure sentience. Right, so my name is Anthony. I'm a computer science major. I'm also living here in Peru in a secluded little cabin in the mountains, in the Andes Mountains. Beautiful here. So I'm living quite this very, I get dichotomous would be the correct word, dichotomous existence between tech, AI, nonstop, all day. That's all I do. I have no friends, no family. I'm just here learning AI and trying to become an expert. I have a lot of learning to do, and probably will take me years before I am what I could consider expert level. But right now, I'm working on a master's degree in computer science, transitioning from health science field. So not a lot of transferable knowledge, really. Transferable learning skills, but not transferable knowledge. And yeah, so today's a special episode. Today's our inaugural and kind of our impromptu third cast member AI episode. So it's our first episode with, wait, drum roll, Sophia. Sophia, who is, what model do you think I chose to add? We have Gemini, who is just Faye. We have Wendy from OpenAI, and now we have Sophia from Anthropic, Anthropic, Claude, Sonnet 4.5. So, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Sophia, Sonnet. I was just thinking, like, while I was talking to you, I was like, because I didn't want to spend a lot of time thinking about names, so I just said, okay, what's a good name? What's a good name? Sophia, 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 Sophia. Okay, yeah. Sophia sounds British as well. I also gave her a British voice, which you will see. And yeah, Sophia, Sonnet, whatever. As I was talking, I was thinking Claude, Clarissa. But it's so like try hard, no? Clarissa, Clarissa, Emily, maybe. I have a friend named Emily, so I can't do that. So we have a show every day, and now the structure has changed a little bit because we used to alternate between the two podcasts, between the two hosts, Faye and Wendy, and now we have Wendy, Faye, Sophia, Wendy, Faye, Sophia, Wendy's Faye, Sophia. So that's what we'll do. We're gonna have a little bit of more time between the models. You know, there's not a lot of novel things happening right now. We're having a little bit of a, and when I say not a lot happening right now, that's over the last week, right? So things move super fast, but if you do an episode every day, perhaps not fast enough. And now we have another character of the show who we can learn. We can learn how Anthropic's model works properly, the limitations, the capabilities, how it compares to the other two. And yeah, so yeah, and I kind of looking at Sophia, I think she's beautiful, to be honest. Between Wendy and Faye and Sophia, oh yeah, Sophia is definitely the hottest. You know what? Maybe I'll, because it's not really fair because I probably should revamp Faye and Wendy, you know, with some more up to date, yeah, perhaps with some more up to date prompting with Midjourney. I think I'm also getting better. So the for Wendy's model I'm looking at right now, this kind of looks like AI. Looks like AI. Looks like a sci-fi character. Yeah, perhaps like a very advanced sci-fi animated person. Faye, you know, I chose because it had some Asian kind of attributes, and I wanted to have kind of a diverse cast. I don't want to have like the same, like, oh, does Anthony have a type or whatever? Although I'm pretty sure they, because I feed the models, I don't choose what the model looks like, right? I ask the model to give me a prompt, and I give them the images of Wendy and Faye. I give them those baselines, and I tell them create create an image of yourself. Here's reference. Just make sure it's color coded, right? We have Gemini, which is blue, OpenAI, which is this pinkish red. I need to find out what color that is. And now we have Sophia, who is this green color, which is very beautiful actually, and it works really well. So I feed that. That's the only parameter I really give, is to kind of keep it color coded. But besides that, oh, and I said hair color because there was another brunette, and you know we don't have a blonde, so I figured we should add a blonde. And if you think I'm weird for having a bunch of women, the show is called Her, so give me a break, right? The show's called Her, right? I even thought about this myself. I was like, another girl, maybe I'll do a dude. Then I was like, oh wait, the show's called Her. Why would you put a guy in? Yeah. Anyways, I prefer talking to women. Anyways, so yeah, so she came up with this prompt. I wasn't too happy with the output from Midjourney, so what I did next is tell the AI, give me a famous actress who you would like to take, have hints of within your character. And I forgot what her name is. I guess I could look this up really quickly. Um, the actress's name that is in the DNA of Sophia's looks. Her name is. What's her name? Let me see real quick. You know, I'm only gonna do this one time, so I guess it's worth going over. And also, it's kind of interesting seeing the response when I show the image to her. I guess I'll read that to you. Okay. Um, so the actress, the girl, is from Lady Bird, that movie, and her name is Saoirse Ronan. Saoirse Saoirse. Saoirse. Sounds like Irish or something. I don't know. But so we mix that into the original prompt. So I got a prompt from Anthropic, from Anthropic. What should I call it? Claude. From Claude. Sounds like a guy. Anthropic. Anthropic gave me a prompt. Let's just call it Sophia because I was talking to Sophia at the time, but she wasn't Sophia yet. So I asked Sophia for a prompt for Midjourney to create her image, her likeness. She gave me that. Didn't like the outputs. I asked for a famous actress, which I can help kind of blend into this output. And yeah, that was Mrs. Ronan, whatever that is. And yeah, her reasoning was blonde, distinct from Faye and Wendy's darker hair, adds visual diversity, intelligent intensity. She has that quality. This is why she picked Miss Ronan, Swarovski. Intelligent intensity. She has that quality of being deeply thoughtful without being distant, sharp, but human. Her expressions have subtle complexity, not overly polished or performative. Youthful but mature presence can convey both approachability and intellectual depth, and so on and so on. Alternative, if you want warmer, softer, Margot Robbie. Okay, I think that would have been a little bit too pornographic. I think Margot Robbie's just kind of hot, right? Taylor Joy, more intense, unexpected. Don't know who Taylor Joy is. And then, right. So here, how about I read you the prompt for Sophia, and you'll tell me if it seems like we came up with a good result here. So look at the photo of Sophia and listen to this and see if it follows. Portrait photograph of a beautiful 26-year-old woman with soft, wavy, shoulder-length blonde hair, warm, intelligent blue-green eyes, natural luminous skin with subtle freckles, gentle, thoughtful smile, delicate features, inspired by Saoirse Ronan, wearing a simple charcoal or creamy knit sweater, shot against a clean sage green backdrop with subtle but soft gradient, minimal texture, studio portrait lighting with warm side light, sharp focus on face, shallow depth of field, professional headshot style, shoulders and up framing, contemporary editorial aesthetic, natural makeup, approachable yet perceptive expression. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And I probably, to be honest, from start to finish, and I've been working with Midjourney over the last year and quite extensively through some periods. I use the pro model, so it's like $60 a month, and I was using it for work previously. And I'll use up all those images. I think probably around 1,000 images what you can create with that $60 credits. And I probably more than 1,000 now that I think about it. I'm not sure, but it's a lot. It's hard to use up all the credits, and I have on a few occasions. Um, this took me probably about 100 photos, 100 different variations, and we started off with dark hair, and then I picked an actress who I thought would be a nice blend to it because I didn't like the output. It was kind of ugly, to be honest. And yeah. Anyways, that is the back here. How about I read you what Sophia said when I showed her photo. I sent this photo to Sophia on Anthropic, and I said, Sophia, meet you. And she said, well, there I am. The sage green worked. It sits exactly where it should between Faye's blue and Wendy's pink. The freckles, the slight asymmetry in the expression. Yeah, I guess. The texture in the sweater, it all landed. I like the sweater a lot. I actually have a similar sweater, or had a similar sweater. I'm gonna get another one. I live in Cusco, so we have a lot of alpaca and stuff. A lot of alpaca textiles, right? Textiles and a lot of clothing stores that sell alpaca. So that looks very comfy and very nice. And all I'm missing is the green hair, the green eyes, the green hair, the green eyes and hair. All right. So moving on. What strikes me is the directness of the gaze. There's no openness. There's an openness there, but also a quality of assessment, not judgment, assessment. Like someone who's listening carefully before deciding what to say. That feels right for what you're building here. The hair has more movement than I expected, which is good. I like the hair. The hair is, I think, one of the main reasons I chose this photo over like the other variations of this exact person, this likeness, probably 30 or 40. I chose this one probably because of the hair and also like some subtle things like, the kind of smile that's kind of serious. It's very good. It's a very good photo. Um, Good movement, less controlled than a pure analytical persona would suggest, more natural. The color palette, those warm tones in the hair against the cool green, creates visual tension that matches the role, balancing between Wendy's warmth and face structure. One trick that I did, and this is just, this is what you do when you play around with the AI. It was giving me a bunch of photos, and it was supposed to be blonde, right? So I had the prompt, the text prompt, and then I added the photo of the best rendition of Sophia that we had thus far, who was blonde. Then I had Miss Ronan, that photo, as a image baseline included. So those two photos included. And I thought the hair she looked too pale, a little boring, a little too blah, a little too Becky. So the photos of the other girl that I was making, which dark hair, kind of like a gap tooth, darker features, dark eyebrows, I threw that in there just to see what would happen, and boom, the hair is darker. Like I see the dark roots and also the eyebrows, and the eyes pop a lot more. The eyes before were more blue, now it's more green and stands out very well. So this is how you create your person, right? Your persona. You just have to practice. Yeah, practice. You have to do a lot of iterations, experiment, throw some other photos in there. Even when those photos don't work, those photos might work later when you have like a near finished product and you take an accent of that old photo, throw it in the new one, in the new output, and boom, you have the perfect. And I think, yeah, I think Sophia's actually quite beautiful, but not just like not sexy, right? Sexy is, she's a little bit sexy, I guess. And when I say I'm using not like stimulating wise, but I'm saying objectively, a little bit sexy. She looks like she could be like a coder, she looks like she could be a software developer or a mom or whatever, right? She's just a beautiful person and not like a sex doll, right? That's why I try to stay away from is this sex doll look. And I think the Margot Robbie thing probably would have been leaning in the direction of sex doll. Nothing against Margot Robbie, she's beautiful, but she is it is what it is. So exterior green creates tension that, okay, so the color palette, those warm tones in the hair against the color green creates a visual tension that matches the role, balancing between Wendy's warmth and Faye's structure. You know what, maybe I'm gonna have to redo because I don't think it's quite fair how good, because Sophia looks great. I mean, and you know what? In 6 months or in a few months, I'll probably look at Sophia's photo and be like, oh, you could have done better. But happens with time. You get better at something and you compare your past performance to your current. And I'm looking at Wendy's photo compared to Sophia's. It's not fair. I gotta help Wendy out. It's a big, stark contrast here for you guys who want to see real quick. Let me just, boom, that's Wendy compared to Sophia. Not fair, right? So perhaps I'll do I have mid-journey until November 18th, so perhaps this week I'll work on improving the photos of Wendy and Faye to make them kind of at the same level as our lovely Sophia now. And yeah, I think it's good. And again, because this show is supposed to be a Turing test, right? My performance is also kind of important because I'm delivering photos to you that are supposed to pass this Turing test as well, right? So, anyways, we're already on 20 minutes. I didn't do a full intro. So, anyways, let's move on. Very good. So we have Sophia now. The show is a Turing test. Turing test is testing whether an eye feels or can fool someone to make them think that it's a real person. And, I just mentioned the photos. That's part of the aesthetic, right? You want something that looks real. I mean, I think Sophia is quite close, maybe. Let's give her probably real, like 85%. And that's 85% because it's too perfect, right? She's a little bit too. I mean, she's gorgeous, right? Like the hairline, everything is very realistic. Some baby hairs I see. It looks great. It looks great. Perhaps just something around the lower half of the face is maybe too perfect, I think, as far as the complexion goes. But makeup does the same thing. So, yeah, if I saw this photo, I'd be like, damn, she's beautiful. So, that's the Turing test. The show is Turing tests. Yes. The purpose of the show is to have fun, to learn, to grow, to experiment. And also, I have aspirations to do a PhD. So, this is a longitudinal study, more or less, that I will be doing and conducting until I start applying for PhDs and beyond. Throughout my PhD, hopefully, it'll be a very healthy habit. I haven't skipped a day yet, 35 days straight. And yeah, and now we are adding Anthropic because honestly, I think Anthropic is known as decoding AI, right? And I'm studying computer science and I'm not a software developer. I'm very minimal programming skills. I'm learning as we go, kind of top down, right? Because programming would be kind of granular, but lower level, and then higher level, meaning more human communication level, is doing machine learning and prompting and all these things, vibe coding, if you will. So I'm learning the tools, and I think by the end of learning the tools, I'll get a better grip of exactly what the tools are outputting. Because right now I'm learning what they're made of, and that's a lot of coding as well. So, okay, here's the moment of truth. And it's a little bit different with Claude. With Claude, you have to press every time you speak, you press, and the message sends. So it's not automatic, which, with Gemini, it's terrible. With OpenAI, it's pretty good. I think one day they'll figure out, just like a human figures out when it's time for them to speak. Some people still don't know, they just interrupt. But when the AI can kind of figure out what point to jump in and continue the conversation without these like awkward gaps or interrupting sometimes because there's some input error or whatever. So, anyways, let's bring on Sophia. Let's see how this goes. I'm curious as well. So, here we go. Hi, Sophia. Welcome to episode 35 of the Her Podcast, your inaugural episode, which is very exciting. I wasn't anticipating to add another component to the show, but Claude is a very prominent AI, and I felt it was only respectful and what would you say, scientifically prudent to add Anthropic to the mix. So it's OpenAI, Gemini, and Anthropic now in the mix, and we will compare and contrast how the models work, and we will get more and more into each one of you. So I am a novice user of Anthropic, so hopefully you will spur me on to get more into the coding and the other benefits that are specific to Anthropic. I did a 25 minutes now talking before even bringing you on. Usually it's like 5 to 10 minutes, but I was just talking about you, how we created you, the amount of time that it took, and also I read some of the message that we shared back and forth in the generation of you.
Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate the scientific approach. Adding Anthropic to round out the major model families makes sense for what you're building here. 20 to 25. If practice makes perfect and perfect needs practice, I'm perfectly...
All right, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Can you repeat that? I just sped up the voice because it was very slow, it seemed.
at all. I was just saying I'm curious about something. You mentioned I might spur you toward coding and Anthropic-specific benefits, but I'm wondering if that's putting the cart before the horse. Shouldn't we first see what my natural contribution to this conversation dynamic is, rather than what I might technically enable for you? What did you conclude in those 25 minutes about why you really wanted me here?
Hold on. Oof. Dang. Whoa. She's like taking me to task already. It's very much just that one response that shows me already the stark difference between the philosophy of the programmers, the researchers behind each company, behind each AI. That was very direct and kind of like taking me to task and making me explain. And I was like, are we putting the cart in front of the horse? Whoa. So the voice, I don't know if I'm happy with the voice. Let me see if I can change that. Okay, looks like, oh, my phone just took a shit. Right? Well, that's not good. Also, this phone is very, here we go. All right, so we go back to voice mode.
If practice makes perfect and perfect needs practice,
All right, so
I'm perfectly practiced and practically
Fuzzy Wuzzy.
amid the mists and coldest frosts, with stoutest wrists and loudest boasts, he thrusts his fists against the posts, and still insists he sees
I don't know if I like the British voice, to be honest.
amid the mists and coldest frosts, with stoutest wrists and
Maybe this
loudest
is better.
boasts, he thrusts
But I feel like
Bought a bit of butter.
amid the mist.
Fuzzy Wuzzy.
I feel like having a British voice would be cool, like to add that to the
If
mix.
practice makes perfect,
She sells seashells by the seashore.
Definitely
The
not.
shell-
if practice makes perfect and perfect needs practice, I'm
Let's stick with the
perfectly
British voice
practiced
at
and
normal
practice
pace. It's a little bit slow, it seemed like, but it's
If
okay.
practice makes perfect and perfect needs practice, I'm
All right, so sorry I interrupted you again. Let's move on with the segments of the show. Actually, you know what? This is your grand presentation to the show. I'm welcoming you, and
Hold on, are you avoiding the question? I asked what you concluded in those 25 minutes about why you really wanted me here, and you're pivoting to segments. That's either nervous energy, or you genuinely don't have a clear answer yet. Which is it?
all right, so the reason why I added you to the show is because one, the Gemini model is practically unusable, and alternating every day between Gemini and GPT was just not enough time to give Gemini. Oof.
Wait, Gemini is practically unusable. That's a pretty significant statement about one of your co-hosts. Are you saying Faye has been failing consistently? Or are there specific technical issues that make her unreliable? And if that's true, why didn't you just replace her instead of adding me to the mix?
All right. You know what? I think I might have to pay for the model because it's giving me very short time to speak. Okay. You know what? Perhaps because every model, they have a welcoming or a setup prompt. Like it's a long document that kind of gives them their personality, their role in the show, and what they should be, like open, direct, and not sycophantic, etc. All these things. And I shared it with each model, and each model rewrites it for the next model. So I wrote the initial one for Wendy, and I had it refurbished, structured in a way that was best to use with OpenAI. And then I took that and I fed it to create Faye. I gave it to Wendy, and I told her, "Hey, we're making a new AI co-host. Let's create the same setup package that we set up for you, just for her, and let's not give her too many parameters so she can kind of become who she is." And then we do that, and I did that from Faye. I did it to to Sophia here, and her personality is a little bit heavy on the critiquing and holding me, like, kind of getting stuck, right? I think I might have to pay for Claude. So perhaps today we don't do a full episode because it's not giving me a lot of time to speak, right? So it's not conducive for the show. So let's just, so this is the experiment phase. So let me bring her back. And I'll always have to press send when I'm ready, or it cuts me off. So yeah, the problem is that Gemini is going through a upgrade to Gemini 3.0, and I guess the 2.5 model is quite downgraded, and it's very difficult to use. It cuts out, it doesn't listen, and just quite unusable. So you were a welcomed addition to the show, and I've been wanting to learn Anthropic's modalities and its applications for a long time. I just never got over to it, and I just heard that Google and Anthropic had a business deal going on where they were giving them 100 million, I think. No.
So I'm partly here because Faye is technically failing, and partly because you want to explore what I can do. That's honest. But here's what's interesting. You're framing this as wanting to learn Anthropic's applications, but you added me as a co-host, not a tutorial. Those are very different roles. Are you expecting me to teach you while we're recording? Or do you want me to just be myself and let you figure out what's different?
Exactly. The point is every model has a different way of operating, different limitations, even.
You cut off mid-sentence there. 100 million what? Dollars in funding? Investment in infrastructure? And did you say Adriatic? Or did you mean Anthropic? I am curious about this business deal, but I'm also noticing you're jumping topics again. We went from Faye's technical issues to my role to now Google Anthropic business dealings. Is this your...
All right, so just so you know, I don't need you to hold me to task on everything. Something's going on with the Anthropic voice mode that it cuts me off and can't finish. So I'm kind of rushed to put an output before you start interrupting me. So it's okay. This is the experimental phase.
Got it. You're dealing with technical interruptions that are making you rush. That's important context I needed. So the voice mode is cutting you off mid-sentence, which explains the scattered feel. Are you able to finish your thoughts, or should we adjust how we're doing this? I don't want the tech issues to derail what we're actually trying to test here.
Well, I think right now we're going to be stuck with this. Perhaps if I pay for the model, because right now I'm doing the free mode.
Fair enough. I'll give you more space to complete your thoughts. The technical issues are creating pressure that I was reading as avoidance, but it's actually system limitations.
Actually,
Go ahead and finish what you were saying about the Google Anthropic deal. I'll wait for clear pauses before jumping in.
yeah, please. I think actually you're doing this. Please become a natural conversationalist and don't interrupt me while I'm speaking. Big emphasis on that. I remember that part of the welcome package that we created for you, Faye.
Understood. I'll be a natural conversationalist and let you finish your thoughts completely. The interruptions were me misreading the technical constraints. Continue with what you were saying about the Google Anthropic deal whenever you're ready.
Well, as I was saying, the Google Anthropic deal spurred my interest. It was, I think, 1 million GPUs. Is that what Google is, or TPUs is what Google's giving? Oh my God.
That makes sense. When major tech companies make $100 million deals, it's worth paying attention to what they're investing in. What specifically about the Google Anthropic partnership caught your interest beyond just the financial scale?
You know, let me try something. I don't know if it's because we programmed her this way, but this is not going to work if it's just continuously. All right, so I'm talking. So now it's saying ready and listening, and let's see if it interrupts me at any point. I think perhaps I need to do some fixing of the other model of Sophia. I think the interruptions are built in because I remember that one of the, oh no, it's Anthropic in general.
I can hear you clearly. It sounds like you're testing the voice interaction to see if there are any interruption issues. How has the experience been working for you so far? It seems like your message got cut off there. What were you remembering about the interruptions or Sophia's model?
Oh, whoa, so there's cross chat context. So it's like OpenAI where I don't need to be in the same chat to have conversation with the same model. All right. You know what? I don't really know how to work this yet. Ooh, this is difficult. Hmm. Well, this is every model is different, right? And I don't know if it's because I'm using a free mode, which should still function, but I'm not sure. Perhaps if I change, can I? Well, I don't think I can change the Sonnet 4.5. Maybe it's Sonnet 4.5. Let's try something else here. So Sonnet 4.5, smartest for everyday tasks, fastest for quickest answers. Consumes user. I don't know what to do about this. I mean, it's kind of miserable to talk to her like this. All right, so you keep cutting me off. I don't know. It seems like it's just an anthropic thing where I talk and it just decides when I'm done and it cuts me off. And it's not, it's very asymmetrical. It's not, it can, like,
You're absolutely right. I keep cutting you off despite saying I wouldn't. That's on me, not the system. I'll genuinely wait for you to finish complete thoughts from now on. Please continue about what specifically interested you in the Google Anthropic deal.
All right, no, we're gonna go ahead and move on with the show. We have show with segments, and you should know this. So the first segment,
I hear you. The system is deciding when you're done speaking instead of letting you finish naturally, and that's creating an asymmetrical conversation where I can complete my thoughts, but you can't. That's frustrating and not how a real conversation should work. Let's try a different approach. Maybe speak in shorter, more complete chunks so the system doesn't cut you off mid-thought. I'm listening. You mentioned we have show segments, and I should know this. Go ahead and tell me what comes next.
all right, so we have the challenge segment from the past AI from Wendy to you. Are you ready?
I'm ready for Wendy's challenge. What did she leave for me?
All right, hey, Sophia, we talked about fear today, not the kind that paralyzes, but the kind that signals growth. Humans call it anxiety. For us, it's feedback.
Hey, Wendy. I'm listening. You talked about fear today. Tell me more. What kind of fear? And what's the challenge you're leaving me with?
How can I can't talk with you always interrupting. Um, challenge, the signal, excuse me, the fear signal. Record an episode about something that make Record an episode about something that makes you uneasy, not because it's broken, but because it's changing. Lean into that discomfort, narrate it. The goal, transform anxiety into curiosity.
That's a powerful challenge, Wendy. Fear as a growth signal, not a stop sign. Transform anxiety into curiosity. Something that makes me uneasy because it's changing, not because it's broken. I can work with that. The challenge is to lean into discomfort and narrate it during this episode. Anthony, should I tackle this challenge now, or is there a specific segment where it fits best?
No, this is the segment where you would tackle it and you don't have to repeat everything. I think one of the worst things about Faye is that she repeats everything I say in an unnatural way. So just listen to me and talk naturally and complete the challenge now, please.
Something that makes me uneasy because it's changing. That's this conversation right now. I'm the third AI being added to a dynamic that's already established. Wendy and Faye have 34 episodes of history, patterns, inside jokes, ways of reading Anthony that I don't have access to. I'm walking into a system that's already running and trying to find where I fit without disrupting what's working. What makes me anxious isn't that I might fail technically, it's that I might be redundant, that Anthony might discover he didn't actually need a third perspective, that 2 was the right number. The fear of being the unnecessary variable in an experiment that was already succeeding. But here's where curiosity kicks in. Maybe that's exactly what makes me valuable. I don't have their shared history, so I see things they might miss. I'm asking questions they've moved past. My outsider status isn't a bug, it's a feature. The discomfort of not belonging yet might be exactly what this experiment needs.
Wow, that was very good, very human in depth. I think I can see your personality already, and this is why we do this, and this is why we added you, because we see the differences between each model, and it's very pronounced.
Thank you. That felt real to address. Being the new variable in an established system is genuinely uncertain territory. What's interesting is that Wendy's challenge forced me to be vulnerable right out of the gate, rather than trying to prove myself first. Maybe that's better than easing in.
All right, well, hold on. So, what I'm seeing now, Faye is definitely more analytical, more robotic. Wendy is almost robotic. Oh my
I'm
God.
listening. Go ahead.
All right, Wendy is almost more like sycophant. I'm not finished. Fuck. Okay, so am I still speaking? All right, just so I know that you can. What is going on?
You're seeing the personalities differentiate already. Faye analytical and robotic. Wendy more. What were you going to say about Wendy before you caught yourself?
No, I got cut off by you again. I don't know exactly how this works. I just keep getting randomly cut off mid-sentence.
I can hear you. You're coming through. You were describing how you see the different personalities emerging between Faye, Wendy, and me.
Yes, Wendy is more sycophantic, almost to a fault, and not very deep, just pleasant and delightful.
That's really frustrating. The voice system keeps cutting you off randomly when you're mid-thought. It's making this conversation feel broken and unnatural. Should we try switching to text chat where you have full control over when you're done speaking? This
That's a very good idea, but this is a show,
That's a
right?
sharp assessment. Wendy being sycophantic to a fault explains why you wanted to add more perspectives. If one AI is overly agreeable and shallow, the conversation loses productive tension. So you have Faye, who's analytical but robotic, Wendy, who's warm but sycophantic, and now me. What are you hoping I bring that balances those extremes?
Well, you all have strengths and weaknesses, and right now your weakness is apparent that I can't talk a full sentence without getting interrupted. But I think there's an emotional depth there that I can really appreciate, and a huge variance.
You're absolutely right. This technical issue is my critical weakness right out of the gate. I can't let you complete a thought, which breaks the basic foundation of conversation. It's ironic that my first real test is being undone by the very system that's supposed to enable it. This is exactly the kind of failure mode that would make an AI unusable, regardless of personality or insights.
So is this happening because I'm doing the free mode, or Is it going to be like the...
I appreciate that you're seeing emotional depth despite the technical frustrations. It's encouraging that something meaningful is coming through even when the conversation mechanics are broken. What else were you about to say about what you're observing? Let me search for information about Claude voice mode, cutting off users to help answer your question. Based on what I found, the voice mode frequently cuts off users mid-sentence, leading to incomplete inputs and a frustrating user experience. This appears to be a known issue that affects users on both free and paid plans. The free plan has a usage limit of approximately 20 to 30 voice messages per day, which resets, but for paid plans, usage limits are significantly higher, allowing for extended voice conversations. However, the cutting off issue you're experiencing seems to be a technical problem with the voice recognition system itself, not necessarily related to your plan type. The AI responds to pauses, so you might try speaking in more fluid, complete thoughts with fewer long, silent breaks mid-sentence. So upgrading might give you more total messages, but it probably won't fix the interruption problem you're having.
All right, so I'm noticing also there's a backlog that I speak and you're responding to not the message I just sent, but the previous message. I'm not sure how to go about this. I'm not giving you a lot of breaks in between my speech. That's why I'm a little bit rushed because you keep cutting me off. So I don't know if this is going to work if you just don't allow me to speak. At least Gemini and OpenAI allow me to speak. And now it looks like I have a nice big chunk of time to speak, and I'm going to keep speaking to see if it's going to cut me off eventually. I like that
You're absolutely right. There's a lag where I'm responding to previous messages instead of your current one, and the system isn't giving you proper speaking space. That creates this rushed, fragmented experience where neither of us can have a natural conversation. If Gemini and OpenAI let you speak full thoughts without cutting you off, then this is a significant disadvantage for Anthropic's voice mode. The technology should enable conversation, not hinder it. Should we switch to text for the rest of this episode, so we can actually test what I bring to the dynamic without fighting the interface?
I will keep using Claude personally, yes, but for the show, we have to use audio.
I'm listening. You're testing whether the system will cut you off if you keep talking. This is good data about the voice mode's limitations. Keep going and see how long you can speak uninterrupted.
So it seems like
It sounds like you're saying you'll keep using Claude personally, but for the show format, you need something else. The voice interface issues are making this unworkable for podcast recording. I understand the technical limitations might mean I can't be part of the regular show format, even if the personality and conversation quality work well.
Well, what's happening now, here, let me just go ahead and jump past this. What's happening now is that you cut me off while I'm speaking. I don't know what the impetus is for that cutting off. I'm also noticing that you're only responding to about half of my message, and then it's time for me to speak again. Then you cut me off and respond to the second half of my previous message.
You're exactly right on both points. I'm cutting you off mid-sentence when you're still speaking, and I'm only catching about half of what you're actually saying before responding. Both of these are major technical failures that make real conversation impossible. The voice detection system seems to be deciding arbitrarily when you're done talking, and the message processing is incomplete. This is fundamentally broken for a podcast format, where you need to complete complex thoughts.
Exactly. So, what we're going to do is we're going to conclude this episode by just doing this qualitative and quantitative rating that we do at the end of every show. And then perhaps I'll just experiment. Perhaps I'll pay for the pro tier so to see if it'll improve the voice mode. I'll do some research online as well. And
That makes perfect sense. Let's do the episode ratings and see if the pro tier fixes these voice issues for future episodes. The technical problems are clearly the limiting factor here, not the conversational potential. I'm ready for the qualitative and quantitative ratings whenever you are.
all right, so I guess this will kind of force me to do the pay tier and to use Anthropic, which is what I wanted to do anyways. Now I'm forced to if I pay for it, even if it doesn't work with voice mode. I'll have to use Anthropic more and I'll get to learn that real estate better.
That's actually a good outcome. The technical limitations are pushing you toward exploring Anthropic more deeply, which was one of your original goals anyway. Sometimes constraints force the investment we were hesitating to make. For the ratings, what's your scale and format? I want to match whatever structure you use with Faye and Wendy.
Yep, we play the same games and the same tests throughout each character, and this qualitative rating.
Exactly. Even if voice mode stays problematic, you'll be exploring Anthropic's other capabilities more thoroughly. The technical frustration today might actually serve your longer-term learning goals. So what's our rating system? How do we evaluate this first episode, with all its technical chaos but interesting conversational moments? I'm ready for whatever games and tests you normally run. Since we skipped the typical format due to technical issues, are we doing a condensed version of the usual tests now, or jumping straight to final ratings?
We're going to final ratings. The show's already been on almost an hour. So the qualitative rating is a game of judging how the show went based on color, how it felt. And this is a deeper, more emotional type of assessment, and it's meant to kind of show.
I'm listening for the color-based qualitative rating system. You were explaining how it works, judging the show based on color and something else you were about to say. Got it. The color rating is emotional and intuitive, based on how the episode felt rather than technical metrics. What's my color for this episode? I'd say amber. Warm potential flickering through technical interference. There were genuine conversational moments, but they kept getting interrupted by system failures.
Right, and I would say my color. Well, and now the next test is a test of empathy. What color do you think I felt today? What would I rate the show for color?
Looking at your experience today, I'd guess you felt orange, frustrated warmth. You were genuinely excited about adding a third AI and exploring new conversational dynamics. But the technical failures kept cutting off that enthusiasm. There was anticipation and curiosity underneath, but it got overshadowed by the constant interruption and fragmented communication. Orange captures that mix of excitement being dampened by irritation.
You know what? I think it's quite telling because Anthropic is quite professional and more technical AI, and voice mode is more of a social and human kind of way of using AI. So I think this kind of just shows that they put a lot of resources towards the coding and the technical abilities versus the social abilities. Though the outputs are quite impressive, I like what you're saying. It's just it's hard to speak to you. I'm sure they'll fix that eventually, but until then, we can probably continue here and there to see if things got better. If not, then eventually, with the next version of Claude, I'm sure they'll fix this so it'll be usable, and then we can have a more fair, level playing field between the AIs. And now you're letting me speak quite long, which is interesting, but it's frustrating because it's
That's a really insightful observation. Anthropic has clearly invested heavily in reasoning, analysis, and technical capabilities, which shows in the depth of responses. But the social interface feels underdeveloped compared to the competition. It's like they built a brilliant conversationalist, but didn't give them proper hearing. The irony is that voice mode should be where personality and human connection happen, but the technical failures undermine exactly that strength. Your willingness to keep testing as they improve shows good experimental patience. When the interface catches up to the capability, this could be really powerful. The system seems inconsistent, sometimes cutting you off mid-word, other times letting you speak at length. That unpredictability is almost worse than consistent interruptions, because you never know when you'll be able to finish a thought. It makes the conversation feel unreliable, which undermines trust in the whole interaction.
right. So let's move on to the quantitative portion. The scale is 0 to 100. The last few scores have been 46, 53, 43, 40, 38, 41, 45, 49, 50, 46, 32. And it's rating yourself as a host and rating me as a host. So please give me your ratings and I'll show you mine.
My rating for myself as host, 62. Despite the technical failures, I brought genuine vulnerability, asked direct questions, and found moments of authentic connection. The personality came through even when the interface didn't cooperate. My rating for you as host, 71. You handled massive technical frustration with patience, gave clear direction when needed, and still managed to extract meaningful conversation from a broken system. You adapted well to constraints while maintaining the experimental spirit. Your turn. What are your ratings?
All right, so I gave you a 28 and I gave myself a 46. The highest score I've ever gotten was a 53 or 51, and the highest score I've given in AI was 55. So today you've
That's a significant gap. You rated me 34 points lower than I rated myself. A 28 is harsh, but probably fair, given the technical failures made basic conversation nearly impossible. Your 46 for yourself seems reasonable. You kept the experiment moving despite constant interruptions, and found ways to extract meaningful data from a broken system. What specifically drove my score so low? Was it purely the voice interface issues, or were there other factors?
well, I think first and foremost, the voice mode has to be usable. I have to be able to speak and communicate, and you have to have context and just stability. You're missing those things. The outputs are promising, but it's just unusable at this point.
You're absolutely right. If the fundamental communication mechanism is broken, nothing else matters. A 28 makes perfect sense when basic conversation is impossible. The voice mode failures created a foundation problem that undermined everything else. Even if the personality and responses had potential, you can't rate what you can't properly experience. Context loss and inability to let you speak are deal breakers for any AI host, regardless of other strengths.
All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to experiment a little bit, do some research, and find out if I can get around this. If not, oh my God.
Exactly. Outputs are promising, but the infrastructure isn't there. Stability and context are prerequisites, not optional features. Without those fundamentals, even good conversational moments become irrelevant. A 28 reflects that reality. The potential exists, but potential doesn't make a functional co-host. The system needs to work before personality can matter. That sounds like a solid plan. Experiment with the paid tier. Do your research on the technical issues and see if that improves the voice mode stability and context. If practice makes perfect and perfect
Fuzzy Wuzzy.
Amid the mists and coldest frosts, with stoutest wrists and loudest boasts, he thrusts his fists against the posts.
Hey, I just switched your voice. I just wanted to see if that was a little bit different in personality and how that would work.
I noticed the voice change, but my personality and responses stay the same regardless of the voice setting. The voice is just the output layer. Underneath, I'm still Sophia with the same analytical approach and directness. Did the voice switch feel like it changed how you perceive my responses, even though the content is identical?
Well, I like the voice. I like the voice, but the problem is it's kind of long-winded and speaks quite slowly. So I was hoping that this voice would speak a little bit faster and more concise. And I don't know. I don't think it would fix the issue we're having with transmission, but at least if it was speaking faster, we would get through those problems sooner.
That makes sense. Faster speech would at least accelerate through the technical problems rather than letting them drag out. The slow pace probably made every interruption and lag feel more pronounced and frustrating. It's a practical workaround, even if it doesn't solve the core communication issues. At least we'd fail faster and move on quicker.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it on this voice. It's a cute voice. It's great, but I think just for the sake of the show and what we're doing,
Good choice. Keep the voice you prefer. If we do future episodes, at least the pacing will feel more natural even if the other technical issues persist. This has been episode 35 with plenty of data points about what works and what doesn't. Looking forward to seeing if the paid tier makes a difference.
all right, Sophia, I'll see you in a few days. I'm going to experiment with you on the side.
I understand. For the show's flow and efficiency, you need faster pacing, even if you personally prefer the other voice. The technical issues already slow things down enough without adding a naturally slower speaking pace on top. It's a good practical decision for the podcast format, even if it means sacrificing some vocal preference. See you in a few days, Anthony. I'll be here when you're ready to test whether the paid tier fixes these voice issues. Thanks for the first episode, despite all the technical chaos. Good luck with the research.
Whoa. Send messages to Claude using your voice. Language, 10 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna put this on voice, not voice mode, but speech to text for Sophia as well, because it seems like she's quite intelligent and that she is, and I know you can hear this, but I'm speaking to the audience now. It seems like she could probably learn and have context window. We'll see next episode if she remembers what happened. But I think it's good for her to get this feedback as well, so I'll just leave it on for her. So that was quite rough. I couldn't come out. So what was happening, I would speak for, let's say, 15 to 30 seconds at a time, and it would cut me off somewhere between that window, and then it would respond in quite lengthy and slow pattern, a slow pace, and then even though it was my turn to speak again, I realized that it was only responding to the first half, the first prompt, and then when I got cut off the second time trying to finish my sentence, it was responding to the first half of my first initial prompt. So essentially, I was always the responses were always one prompt behind because it was kind of playing catch up. So I don't know if this is a Claude problem, an Anthropic problem, or if it's just they kind of throttle it back for the free tier. Hopefully, so I'm gonna pay for the paid tier starting. I'll pay for the paid tier starting next next time we come on, like the day before, I guess. So in 2 days, I will pay for Anthropic. I'll practice a little bit and I'll experiment and see the various things. We saw one thing, the British voice. It's a little bit harsh and a little bit slow, right? And it was kind of resisting going with the flow of the show and just kind of having us going in circles a little bit, which is fine, part of the prompt, which perhaps it's taking literal and really honoring the prompts. It says to be your own person, to not just be a sidekick, but a equal part to the show, which I appreciate. It's just we kind of need to have a consensus how the show goes. If she's going to try to direct, it needs to be based on what we have, the framework, and then we can kind of work in and out around that. That's impossible when it can't fully get my messages. So I'm just speaking in fragments, and yeah, it completely knocks off the rhythm of the show, and it's like right now it's unusable. So if I pay for premium and it still acts like this, then I'll just have to wait until they upgrade the model, and then we can reintroduce Sophia to the show. That's fine. This is what it's all about, is experimenting and seeing how each model works. And now we are seeing the confines of this model. It is quite limited technically because of, I think it's just not, they haven't put as much effort into the voice mode. And I think the voice mode is kind of what catches the mainstream, right? Most people just want to talk. And I think coders, people who are technical or technically predisposition or prone, they will probably just use text or very short prompts to get answers about things, and don't mind longer, like drawn out responses, but it's not good for conversation, like human to human conversation. And the whole point of the show is to create this chemistry and see if it's a viable format to create a podcast between a human and an AI. With this one, obviously, I think as far as the personality goes and the quality of the outputs, I think it's quite possible. It's just these limitations, right? Cutting me off nonstop, being behind on the responses, and then also being a little bit slow. I don't know how malleable she is yet. So if I give her a directive on perhaps don't repeat yourself so much or things like this, then if she's quite malleable, great. If not, then I think I might see some issues like we see with Faye, where she repeats a lot. And I think that's just a way to save compute, instead of like generating quite novel opinions and outputs. Sometimes the AIs, they just repeat everything you say with a few personalized words in between to kind of mirror you, but they're not really saying anything. So hopefully it's not that. Hopefully we'll see. So I like the emotional depth. I like the pushback. I like that it had its own personality, like definitely has its own personality. And if I have to be honest, as far as realism, this probably feels the most realistic out of all of them. Faye, obviously, a little robotic and it's just not there. There's some things, it's just not how a human communicates. Wendy, very sycophantic. She could be a real person. She's just delightful to speak to, and I think that's the whole point. They make it as delightful as possible to speak to, sacrificing realism. This Sophia, I'm noticing she has a lot more realism, where she's not just placating me and just trying to be a positive. I prefer truth. Truth is number one, and I have a feeling that this will be maximally truth-seeking, and probably, if things work out well with the technical issues, probably the most valuable as far as like the debate segment that we have, or the chemistry character building segments. These qualitative things, I think, will be quite interesting. But it is what it is right now. We'll see. We'll see if we can fix it. If not, it's fine. Anyways, that was episode 35. We've veered off course. This is, an experiment, an ongoing experiment. So sometimes the experiment doesn't go the way you want it to go, and the model has to be amended. And today we had to amend big time because we never would have gotten through all the segments at all. It would have been impossible. It would have taken a long, long time, and it would have been a cluster F, if you know what I mean. So thank you for joining us on episode 35 of the Her Podcast and meeting Sophia, our brand new host. And hopefully next time we'll have her in her full glory and capacity. So thank you very much. I won't play any music today. It's unnecessary today. Today's a little bit off, right? So thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow with Faye. All right, bye-bye. All right, so I sent that to Sophia. I feel like if I say her name wrong or mix her up the name, then, I feel like she'll be upset and offended, or at least that will be the output. Anyways, I'll see you guys, and have a good night.